Welcome to the Melanin Wellness Podcast, your go-to destination for all things health, beauty, and empowerment for people of color. The Melanin Wellness Podcast is more than just a podcast. It's a celebration of diversity, resilience, and self-love. I believe that wellness should be accessible to everyone, and here I aim to provide a platform where we can share knowledge, inspire positive change, and uplift our communities. I'm your host, Corinna Dunn, and this is the podcast for seekers of knowledge on wellness. I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you, and today we are starting our Note to Self, Your Toolkit to Healing series. And today's topic is going to be journaling for healing. As many of you know, journaling has played a big part in my own healing journey. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 6 steps to starting your own journaling path. But before we get into today's episode, y'all know how we do over here. We always start every episode with 30 seconds of gratitude. I am so grateful for healing. It has opened up a world to me of possibility, of change, and of hope that I did not have before. I am so grateful for community, those people who support me so lovingly, so willingly, so unjudgmental in my own healing journey and allow me to just be me and heal in my own way. And I'm also so grateful for peace. Peace is something that has been brought into my life. It was something I did not have on the inside or on the outside. And during my healing journey, I was able to find this peace, this inner peace, this mental peace, this emotional and spiritual peace that money cannot even buy. Now I know that was more than 30 seconds of gratitude, but y'all who have rode with me before, y'all know it is never, ever too much time spent showing gratitude for all the things that we often take for granted. Now, y'all, let us get into this episode. So first, we're going to start off by talking about and defining journaling. So what is journaling? Journaling, or expressive writing, means simply jotting down your thoughts and feelings about a specific event, a series of events, or even an interaction. Doesn't matter what it's about. It's your experience. So that's the definition of journaling. And so journaling for emotional wellness is a perfect practice for those who may suffer from something called PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder or complex trauma, because it is important to have a space to process emotions without inhibition and fear of judgment and someone telling you, well, hey, you shouldn't say that. No, journaling is your place to say whatever you may want to say. Writing gives those of us who are thrivers a place to say what is often unsayable. I know some of the things that I've written in my journal, sometimes I shock myself. But those were things that I needed to say, things that I needed to get out. And it helped my healing tremendously. Journaling about trauma has many benefits, and I'm going to go over a few of those benefits while talking about some steps to starting your journey. Because repressing and suppressing our emotions can cause physical harm to the body. And it often results in things such as anxiety disorders, depression, or even certain physical ailments like high blood pressure or migraine headaches. Writing is a form of cathartic release as you empty yourself of trauma that may be blocked inside your body. Because unhealed trauma, again, it causes physical ailments. It really does. I promise you it does. Thus reducing the overwhelm and fostering a sense of vitality. So studies show that trauma can often mimic symptoms of ADHD, such as poor concentration or difficulty focusing. Organizing your thoughts in a journal allows you to regain clarity and combat cognitive dysfunction associated with trauma. Then you can create a new narrative for your life, one in which you will prevail as the hero of your own story. And so oftentimes we have these messages that have been placed in our head that are not true. They were not placed there by us. They were often placed there by trauma, traumatic events, abuse, any of those types of things that can cause a disruption of your own thought patterns and of your own self-esteem. So I can recall, being a little girl, and this is something that comes from my book, being a little girl and being told two very different messages about myself. I was often told that I was meant to be a star and that my name should be in lights and that I was so amazing and so smart and so level-headed. However, in the same breath, by the same voices, I was being told that I was too loud, I was too much, I was too this, too that, too everything, and that I needed to just simply be quiet. And when you are in your formative years, and you're developing self-esteem, you're developing your ability to think and process, and you're being told these messages, these can be very confusing and they can disrupt what you think about yourself. They can disrupt your thought patterns. And so, that was something that I carried my entire life. I carried that with me my whole life, and it took a lot of work in order to undo those very messages. It caused my imposter syndrome to be on 10,000, y'all. So here are 6 steps that you can use as a framework to begin journaling for your own healing. And these are all things that I use. So this is from personal experience. This is how I set up my own journaling path. So number 1, you want to create a sacred space. So this space should be somewhere that makes you feel safe and is very comfortable for you. So you want to gather everything that you may need to make it feel that way, as comfortable and, warm for you. A candle, if you're into candles, it can be scented or unscented. Oftentimes I find that for me, the candle just kind of sets the tone, right? A warm blanket, for me, it is a stuffed animal. Don't judge me, y'all. Don't judge me. But stuffed animals just give me a sense of security that makes my journaling that much easier. It flows so much easier. A warm cup of tea or hot cocoa, whatever your favorite beverage is. For me, it just varies. It just really just depends on my mood, on what it is I'm going to be drinking as I journal. And maybe even a box of tissues if necessary. I often need a box of tissues when I start journaling because when I journal, it invokes certain emotions and things that I had forgotten about or thought didn't even bother me anymore, often resurface during my journaling practice. And first and foremost, though, before you do any of those things, make sure that your space is clean. Like, I don't know about you, but I know for me, when things aren't clean and it's a lot of clutter, it messes with my mental. It messes with my headspace. It messes with my emotions, and it causes me to be unable to concentrate. So before you start doing all of those things, make sure that your space is clean to your liking. And sometimes I even take a shower, a nice hot shower or a hot bath to cleanse myself in a way. That's my thing. You don't have to do that, but that's just something that I choose to do because it just helps me to calm down and to really be ready to write, unless it is a situation where I'm just writing on the fly. So number 2, start writing without boundaries or judgment. Now, it doesn't matter if it's grammatically correct or whether it's not even making any sense. As long as it's making sense to you, just start writing whatever may come to mind. This is your brainstorming moment. Like, there have been times where I've sat to journal and I've had so many things going through my mind because I was so frustrated and so angry that I just start writing a bunch of incoherent sentences that made sense to me but would have never made sense to anybody else. And that was just so that I could get it out. And then once I got that out, I was able to grab some of my journal prompts and really start being on task or talking on topic, which is something I say to my daughter all the time. Talking on topic, because, sometimes when we're journaling, we will get stuck. And so those prompts are very helpful. That's one of the reasons that I created a companion set of reflection cards that go with the Note to Self book that I wrote, 30-day reflection cards. And they are journal prompts that help you to start writing when you get stuck. So those prompts that are in that reflection card deck that I created, those are prompts that I have used and I still use when I'm feeling stuck about a certain topic and I need to journal it out. Number 3, there are no judgments and definitely no self-depreciation. Okay, now listen. It's definitely true that we must acknowledge our own problematicness at some point. However, when you are journaling, that is not the time. Okay? This is a tool for healing, not beating up on yourself and pointing out all the things that you do wrong. And I'm going to be honest, when you start journaling and you know that this is your safe space and you can write whatever you like, it might be tempting to start beating up on yourself because of the messages that trauma has taught you, but that is not what this is for. This is a healing tool. We can get into addressing our own problematicness later. We can get into that in another area. This is not the time to start self-depreciation, because then you'll start to fall into those old familiar patterns. And I'll be honest, I've done it. I have done it. And you fall into those patterns simply because they feel comfortable. Journaling and talking about things that make you feel uncomfortable make you want to feel comfortable. And oftentimes, our comfortable space is self-depreciation or judging ourselves for what we did or how we handled something. And that is not what this is for. Because when you are healing takes you places that you never thought you'd go. Healing takes you and causes you to think of things that you may have wanted to forget and have thought that you did forget all about. Which brings me to number 4, think and reflect. Journaling about trauma has no rules. None. Sometimes you may feel like simply writing about your life, and that's okay. You might just want to write about today and how somebody cut you off in traffic and got on your last nerve. Or how the lady at the grocery store was just being a butt and she was screaming at her kids and everybody around her, and ain't nobody do nothing to her. If that's what you need to write about that day, write about that. But you do have to be careful about falling into the pattern of distracting yourself from your pain and suppressing your emotions, because what? It makes us feel uncomfortable. I use distractions all the time, and it's funny because even though I have like over 15 years in the health and wellness field, I absolutely hated. When I say hated, I mean hated working out. I hated exercising. The only form of exercise that I used to do was dance. That was it. I wasn't lifting weights. I wasn't strength training. I wasn't doing none of that because I ain't like it. It was not fun to me, It was boring. I did not like it. I didn't like the soreness. I didn't like any of it. However, during my time leading up to this book, when I started writing this book, I almost developed an obsession with the gym. I was working out 5-6 days a week, strength training like I had lost my mind. And yeah, the results were amazing. Like, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my entire life, including when I was in my 20s. However, I just recently realized that I was using the gym as an avoidance tactic to distract me from the pain that I was feeling surrounding the release of the book. The things that I wrote about in the book are painful beyond words. And even though I felt like I had healed from those things, there was something about writing all of that out in one compilation. One story is one thing, but multiple stories, all the stories I was able to tell. Let me rephrase that, because everything is not in that book. I've been through some more things that I didn't put in that book simply because I could not handle writing that out. My body refused to do so, so I honored that. However, the things that I know that are contained in the book have caused me to relive some of those things. And so I was looking for distractions, anything to make me feel better. And feeling sore feels better because I don't drink and I don't smoke. So that has become a vice for me. And so I had to check myself and dial that down, because distracting from what I was feeling, it wasn't helping. Because when you distract and suppress, it continuously builds. And eventually, like a volcano, it's going to blow. And I've had several times where that was happening behind the scenes. We'll get into that another time. Let's get into number 5. Number 5 is to exercise gratitude. Now, y'all know that gratitude is a huge thing for me, which is why I start every single episode of the show with 30 seconds of gratitude. In fact, I begin each day with 3 things that I am grateful for, and then I end each day with 3 different things that I'm grateful for that happen throughout the day, even on bad days. In fact, those bad days, it counts more to me, because I'm often in a bad mood or I'm upset about something on those days. And it's easy to lose sight of all the things that I have to be grateful for when I'm in a bad mood or when I'm upset with something. So that is why I have that practice. You will be amazed at how practicing gratitude and exercising gratitude will shift your entire vibration. It'll shift your entire mood and your thought process, because often we think that whatever we're dealing with at the moment is so much bigger than what it really is. But when you start listing those things that you're grateful for, it really puts things into perspective. And lastly, we'll get into number 6, which is a difficult one for me because I positively hate this one. Just like I can't stand listening to my shows back in playback. I hate it. I hate reading what I wrote. I hate listening to myself. So number 6 is read what you wrote. Going back through your journal and reading what you wrote can be a helpful part of your healing process. Suppressing emotions is a hard-to-kick habit. However, revisiting your entries can help keep you present with your feelings while giving them a safe place to live. Another benefit is seeing how far you've come on your healing journey, right? And so I go back and look at some of my older journals from years ago, and I'm like amazed, because sometimes, just like I tell my kids all the time, when they look at themselves in the mirror and after they've been exercising, and they're all athletes, and if you follow me on socials, they are all athletes. They don't see their changes. They don't see their differences. But I tell them, just look at the pictures. And so a journal serves as a picture for your thoughts. You can see your progress. You often cannot see it because you are in it. When you are in something and you're living something, it is very difficult to see the fruits of your labor and to see how far you've come. I really, really hope that the 6 tips that I gave you, which were creating a sacred space, start writing without boundaries or judgment, no judgment or self-depreciation, think and reflect, exercise gratitude, and then read what you wrote. I hope these 6 tips help you to start on your journey. Note to Self is currently in the pre-order period. And if you act before September 30th, there is a bundle waiting for you at a discounted rate. It's the book and the 30-day self-reflection cards to help you start your own journaling path. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of the Melanin Wellness Podcast. I cannot wait to talk to you next week. And as always, be well.